feels strange to put it this way, but I was helping my great aunt Evelyn move last night.
That is weird to say,
right?
yeah.
It's like it didn't seem right, but
Great aunt, yeah.
And I just like, for as often as Claudia and her mother have moved, they do not know how to move. They don't know how to pack or move anything efficiently.
Calling them out on the pod.
Yes, I am calling you guys out. But
At least one of them will listen to this for sure.
right.
But
I mean,
the other person might listen also.
Hey, I don't care. Because it's not like they're slacking or anything. Like, they get it done. They just aren't efficient at packing things into boxes or cars, and so it takes them way more trips than it needs to.
Yeah, and
so it seems like a lot more work than it actually is.
It's been every year for the past 3 years, I want to say.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So anyways, I was glad to be there to help because
they really need
Josh here has ingrained it into me that you need to save as much gas as possible and fit as many things as in one box as possible to save as much time and efficiency. And
that is a good thing to do.
And I like Tetris.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Time and Merry Christmas. I'm your host, Josh Youngbar, and I have with me returning co-host, Lucas.
I got lost on my way to college to be here.
Nice. And then co-host Jared.
Semper Fi.
Nice. And then we have a guest host, Bucky.
Welcome to the suck.
Nice. All right. And with those comments, I think you hopefully picked up on, we are talking about Jarhead. So Jarhead was released in 2005, rated R. 2 hours and 5 minutes, directed by Sam Mendes. The writer was William Brailes. He, a couple other notable things he wrote was Apollo 13 and Castaway.
Pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good resume right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the GOAT, Roger Deakins, cinematographer.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Some really good shots in this movie.
Yeah. Then production costs were estimated about $72 million, so just a little less than last week's with Road to Perdition, which was at 80. All right, some of the main talent. We have Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes, sir.
Peter Sarsgaard, not Skarsgård.
Sarsgaard. Yep.
Sarsgaard. Yep. Jamie Foxx, Ming Lo, Lucas Black, Kevin Foster, Brian Droddy, and then John Krasinski.
Mm-hmm.
A little cameo.
Mm-hmm.
I got
You got somebody else that did it?
3 others.
All right. What you got?
Right now? Oh.
Yeah.
He's not in it much, but Laz Alonso, which is Mother's Milk from The Boys, is in this.
I didn't recognize him.
And then Chris Cooper, it was in American... what was the first movie we did?
American Beauty?
American Beauty. Yeah, he was the colonel. Or sergeant or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. He was in this too.
And he was in this too. Basically the same kind of thing.
Role.
Yeah.
Same role.
And then the other one is Dennis Haysbert, which is the guy from Allstate, is what I think of him as. He's in a little bit too. Yeah, towards the end, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so our synopsis from IMDb. A psychological study of Marines' state of mind during the Gulf War, told through the eyes of a U.S. Marine sniper who struggles to cope with boredom, a sense of isolation, and other issues back home. All right, so overall thoughts. Let's start over here with you. No spoilers, just general thoughts of what you thought of this movie.
Absolute testosterone booster.
Okay.
It was well crafted and really told the harsh reality of what you have to deal with, especially for such a short war, and how long they were out there suffering and dealing with different things before they actually even got to the point where the war began. And then obviously how much was stripped away from who you were and then stuff implanted into your head and how you have to deal with the coping of either not achieving that or not getting to do something or getting to do something. And it was really well done.
How about over here? One of you guys want to give your thoughts?
Yeah. I absolutely love this movie. I've never seen it. I guess we could say none of us have seen this movie before, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. It is actually in some parts funnier than I thought too that it would be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And honestly, like I was thinking about it, a couple of things, like it's about the wars that aren't fought. It's about, obviously from the description, the psychological state of these Marines. My favorite thing about it though is that it's a different kind of war movie because you expect it, and no spoilers, but you expect it to be a certain thing, and
Right.
it very much subverts that as it goes.
For sure.
Yeah, I loved it all around. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a good movie. Just the way it was crafted, the way, not giving any spoilers, but when you first go to boot camp and then actually go into getting deployed and then just all the steps that you take, you really get to see that through the characters as it shifts. I like that.
By the way, Bucky is our war guy. That's why we had to have
War
him
correspondent.
on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he loves these movies, so we had to get him on this pod.
I do.
Any other war movies we do, we gotta get you in here again. Yeah.
No, that'd be awesome.
Right. So, I liked this all right. I don't think I liked it as much as you guys.
Really?
Yeah. Like
Really?
from a story wise, yeah. I mean, I think like the cinematography was great.
Yeah.
The acting was great. So I think like execution wise, it was great. I don't think it was that interesting of a script. Like I like the idea of it. Like of just like the idea of where, it's not, it's not what you expect. Right. Like
Yeah.
I like that, but I don't know. There was just something didn't quite click with me on that at that level.
So it's kind of like last week's with Road to Perdition. Because I think you said kind of similar thing. Because you
Yeah.
said everything about it.
Yeah.
The rest of it you really liked, even the cinematography. But you said something
Just
with the script, maybe, or
I probably
it's not even the performances, like you said.
Yeah,
That's not
I would
the
say
case.
it's at that level, the script level, like the just general. Just didn't quite connect with me emotionally. And I think I said that about last week's, where like the things I should be feeling when I'm watching it, and I'm not, and I don't know why, but I'm like not. It's like not quite. And I'm like, I know it's just not connecting with me quite right for me to feel the things that I should be feeling in the moments that are
Okay.
And so that's where, and then I'm like, I don't know. But then like I'm watching it and appreciating the level of like talent and things and the visuals and like these things that I'm very, so I don't know. So maybe it's the directing and how he wants to push the story in there. And if it's 2 movies in a row,
True.
and it's just like, maybe it's just his style doesn't, though I thought American Beauty, like I connect
Amazing.
with like crazy. So
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Well, and then some of his later movies too.
We'll see.
That
We'll
you've
see.
already seen. I know you really like.
yeah.
So
But anyway, it was like I think the emotion I should be feeling it, whether it's, high or low, just wasn't like quite connecting. And it was the same with last week. But,
well, and then I asked you last week about do you like mob movies in general, and you said you normally do, because I was asking like the type of movie. And then same with this, do you normally like war movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the genre of it. It's
So what do you typically like about war movies?
I don't know. I'm not sure what I like about them specifically. Of the genre. I mean, I guess maybe I'm trying to think of I'm trying to directly correlate it with the example. Well,
there's another one he directed way later.
yeah.
And you've seen that one, right? 1917.
No, I have not seen
You
it.
haven't? Okay. I was wondering about that one.
I mean, I'd say like, let's talk about Saving Private Ryan. Like, I know
Yeah.
I've seen that several times. I like that movie. There's something about the camaraderie that's there, and I know they have that in this, like from like on paper, it's there, but there's something about that and like being in an intense situation, where it brings everybody together, and you see people pull through things that you don't think they're going to, but I don't know. It just I get like it either comes back to like the directing style or something, or the writing, where it didn't quite just hit me the right way. Whereas like, Spielberg with Saving Private Ryan, I know it does because I've seen it multiple times. So I don't know. I'd have to watch it a couple times and watch something else to really isolate that, maybe what the differences were. But
and then this movie, they even show and reference, I think, like one of the greatest war movies. They show in this movie too. I don't know if you've seen that one, Apocalypse Now.
oh yeah. That's what they're watching. And
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of that. Well, actually, I'll mention later in my notes. Like, there's a couple actually reference movies that I'm wondering if it's kind of like a nod to that he threw in there. Like, hey, these are kind of things the vibe I'm going through and things I like. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into the story and stuff, a little bit more detail. Spoilers are out now, so yeah. So what are some of the things you liked or didn't like about the plot and story and character? Any thoughts?
I don't want to go first. You guys, I'll let one of you all go. I know Bucky said you did a lot of notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did.
All right,
I have 0 notes.
Yeah.
I know, because I didn't know I was going to be on the podcast today. I just happened to watch it with Bucky.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I really liked was in the first couple of scenes where they're in boot camp.
Okay.
And you've got a drill instructor that's coming up to you, and he's screaming, but then even when you're answering, he's still screaming, which is, I think, fairly accurate to actual like drill instructing, because of the fact that, you need to be able to focus and keep calm even when explosions are going off. So you could have multiple drill instructors coming at you on both sides. And I think they portrayed that pretty well in this movie.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I liked all the training stuff until they got deployed.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, that was all good. Like, it was intense and like seemed very like hard to watch, even type of feeling, because it was like you're like watching, you're like, this is probably what they do, but oh my gosh, can't believe they treat people like this,
dude. Well, honestly, not even just that aspect. The whole movie seems, again, I've never been in that situation, but like it seems very realistic to how, in every way, even the part you were talking about, and even later when they're all kind of just, they're not in combat, but they are having to wait around, all that seemed very, and everything that happens, because there's a lot that happens, seems very realistic to how it was.
I'd imagine. Yeah.
This is also, I think, I saw something about it being based on a book.
Yes.
Okay. So that person wasn't involved in the screenwriting, the script at all? Okay.
Any
Well, I kind of wanted to start with the name of the movie because they explain
what that means?
Right. Yeah, but they had a couple of different meanings. Like, it is just slang for Marine, apparently. But then also the haircut is like what they were explaining. But there was something else too, wasn't there? Didn't they say something else about it?
What, Jarhead?
Yeah.
It has to do with the fact that you are an empty jar. You've become an empty vessel with one purpose.
Right. That's what it was.
Multiple meanings.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, I was just gonna say, because none of you guys have ever been a part of like an all men's sports team, particularly like where you have like locker rooms to go to and like you just have team bonding specifically, went through training and trial. And now, not that I'm
No.
comparing my experiences
Right.
with the Marines, but like it connected with me a lot because it's exactly the same. Like you all treat each other like you hate each other all the time, like constantly. But once you hit the field, it's a whole different story. For me, it was soccer. Obviously, I mean, you know, the locker room is a very different look than what we portray on the field and when we're dominating against the other team or losing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to the extreme levels of like when he first gets there and, you know, they brand him, but they don't because it's just a little hazing tactic.
Yeah.
It's like we had our hazing tactics.
Funny that he actually passed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also not surprising because it's a very, what is that? What is that effect called?
Your mind thinks it happened.
Yeah, where your mind thinks it happens. Placebo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Placebo effect.
Yeah.
So through all of the chaos and like what's happening and like you're feeling that pain and then you wake up and you're like, oh, there was nothing going on.
I mean, also he got some head trauma too.
I mean,
'cause
he did get
yes.
beat
He
a little
did,
bit.
crap
yeah.
out of like 3 guys, and
Yeah.
then finally they subdued him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was done really well. Obviously they didn't go through any trial and error really too much through the war aspect of it, but all the different things leading up to the war is just as much trauma as war actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And well, when the one guy gets killed in training,
I had a
Well-
note about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy that happened, and then I was wondering,
Does
is
that
that something
really
that
happen?
Yes.
You're right? And is this what you guys were looking up?
That was not specifically what we were looking at, but that is one of the ones.
It
yes.
does happen.
It does
It
happen
happens from time to time.
because I know they're firing real rounds. They say
Yes.
that, but they're not shooting high enough to where.
Right above you.
They're right above
Okay.
you, so that you have to stay down. You can feel it.
Feel the force.
Okay.
Of
that's
the
what
air
that's what they're training you
whizzing
for,
through.
right? Probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keep calm. So you
Yeah,
can
keep
still-
calm. And he didn't keep calm,
Mhm.
and they didn't notice him standing up. And you know, they said, "Keep your head down."
Yep.
And he didn't keep his head down. He stood straight up, and he got over halfway standing up before he got hit. So they weren't like right above their head.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
but they were close enough that if you stand up, you're gonna get hit.
Right.
Also, this is what they say, 89 or 1990,
1989.
1989. Maybe the protocol has changed since then too.
I
where
mean,
they're
the
like,
protocol-
it's probably they're
Probably.
shooting or doing blanks or just shooting really high or
Yeah.
something. I
Or
don't
it's
know.
just noise. I mean,
Or just noise. Yeah.
yeah.
Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't look into current stuff. I was just looking at the stuff back then. Make sure it was lined up with the times of the movie.
Well, whenever we get to whatever you guys were looking up, definitely bring that up. Whatever.
we will. It's in the movie. It's far
It is.
into the movie.
Oh, pretty far. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to also. Now again, he kind of says the same quote at the end of the movie, but I like the quote that the movie starts with.
And that was, I don't remember it.
It says, because it's slightly different at the end of the movie, he changes it, but the beginning one is a story. A man fires a rifle for many years and he goes to war, and afterwards he turns the rifle in at the armory and he believes that he is finished with the rifle. But no matter what else he might do with his hands, love a woman, build a house, change his son's diapers, his hands remember the rifle. And then the ending, I think it's just the ending of the movie, he changes the ending of that paragraph or whatever, I think. Right? I didn't write that one down
Yeah, he
at the
does.
end.
Did you write that down?
But I really liked that opening with that. I thought that was good.
It was a good opening.
At the ending, the line is, "We are all still in the desert."
Mm-hmm.
Man, well, yeah, we're not cinematography yet, but that was cool
It was a good shot.
at the very end
Mhm.
when he does that.
The
too.
transition.
Window pane, and
Mhm.
it's him
It's him in the
being in the
desert
desert.
through the window. Yeah. Other thoughts about story and characters?
Are we going to characters yet?
Well, like,
I'll say the only thing about the
broad-
story.
Yeah.
The only thing about the story is like it definitely didn't feel like it had like a climax, right? So like I can see where like you were saying like it didn't like click with you. I don't know if that's what you were talking about specifically, but like it doesn't really feel like it has like a like it just continues rising and then you're just done. But I kind of like the way it because it wasn't done poorly, in my opinion.
Okay.
So that was
No, I mean, other than we didn't really actually go into detail earlier because we were trying not to spoil it. But
Yeah.
what you're saying is they basically get they get out there and then they just have to wait, and then they don't ever end up actually getting to do anything. And then it's like a waste of their time, all that training and all this like suffering and isolation, and then the war's over and they go home.
Yep. I also like how they keep showing the amount of days that they're out there.
Yeah.
They did that a lot.
Timestamps, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so you can see how long they've been out there.
And how many troops accumulate.
Right, that's
as
right.
time passes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the ending, I mean, that's kind of the point of it, though. That's the reason why. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did it that way. Well, I guess we can kind of, at least going into that scene a little bit, I'd like to say that was so good. How, what is Peter Sarsgaard character name? Hold on.
Alan Troy.
Troy. Yeah. That was so good because it all was going up to that moment, right? The shot, right?
Yeah.
And again, because no one
The Allstate guy has to sit down because
yeah, he also got yep. Because they don't get to
and he's like, just let him do it.
they don't get to shoot anyone the whole time. And then so then his breakdown was so good and felt real because he was basically like, no, this is my kill. Like he was, all that time training, preparing, and then it just was taken from him at the last second. Like I thought that was all done really well, that whole scene.
the timing of it was so good, but I expected it to be a fraction of a second sooner because like now not 100% on all this because I have never been in the military, but I'm 99% sure that when you're working with your sniper duo, it's fire, and then you both say fire at the end and you shoot. Well, you don't both say, but on the third fire you shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of seemed like he said fire, and then he was just like waiting to take the shot.
Right.
And that was just giving him like the okay that he can take the shot. But you're supposed to. It's all about it's for timing your breath with the fire. That's why you work with a partner.
Okay.
They figure out the wind change, the distance, all that, and you can adjust it and keep your vision perfect and you get your breath under control and everything. And so in reality, he technically should have taken the shot, but so I was expecting him to like burst. Not expecting, but like after he burst through the door, I was expecting him to like. I would have expected that a second sooner, and like he would have shot by accident or something. But then also, I guess because of the gunshots and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
You got that training. You're not going to randomly just shoot. But regardless, he should have gotten that shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And well, I'm glad you brought that up because Troy's character through the entire movie, like all of this stuff is happening and he stays like fairly calm, cool, and collected. And
Yep.
then he gets up to the point of it's the perfect shot and it's just taken from him.
Yeah.
And his complete crumble is very well done.
Yeah, it was.
Stay on the mic. You're like
I'm like
this.
I'm not okay.
There you
Yeah,
go.
swivel.
It's a wibble, yeah.
I just don't want to lose you. You're making good points.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree that the moment was good. And you're right. Like he played that role of like kind of leader of the team,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of was keeping our main man in check a few times and pulling him back, and from the edges he was, kind of heading towards, but then it's like I think if he was just holding it all in, and then when it didn't go his way, and of course he knew, then as soon as they go back, he was done with anyway.
Yeah, that's
because he
what
lied
I'm thinking
about
at the very end. Yeah.
he lied about the having a criminal record.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So then he just like loses it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he like really lost it. I mean, obviously, our main character lost it too.
Yes.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, his was a full breakdown. It wasn't like a on the edge of life or death. His was just like.
To be honest, I'm like, they got so loud that I was like, how do the enemy not know that they're there?
Oh, they were far.
Yeah.
Remember how many meters?
Very,
It was
very
like
far.
900 meters
Did
or
they
something
say
like
the
that.
meters? Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was not. Yeah,
It was
900
8
meters.
something. It was
It was
far.
in the hundreds.
Okay.
I do know that.
They wouldn't have heard that.
Okay.
I mean, and that makes sense because even what's his name, like bursting through the door afterwards, he wouldn't have done it that way
Right.
if they were actually that close. But
Okay, sure.
yeah, so I imagine they were probably pretty far.
I mean, there's a few shots where you see it. It's in the distance. Like
Yeah.
it's not even like full distance for the camera, unless you're looking through the sniper scope. Like,
Mhm.
Okay.
and he turned like all the dials up to like almost max on his sniper.
Love seeing all that too.
Mm-hmm.
Him turn everything.
Him
Yeah.
doing it properly. 'Cause, we get a false sense of how easy it is to snipe with Call of Duty. And
Well, that's a good
different
question.
games like that.
Did they do that all properly? Did it seem like it
It
was
seemed
all?
like it, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The main thing when it came to like gun control with it not being proper is like where they were holding their guns when like moving around,
Mhm.
or like where they were standing or sitting when they were moving around.
Right.
Because like it was when they first encounter.
The use of the gas when they're walking.
No, I was thinking before that when they're just in the middle of the desert and there's like the shot camels.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like they like all are just like standing straight up. Like if you see it, they all should have dropped to the ground before they had any other idea of what was going on, and then they could have figured something else out. And then
the butt of the gun and the stock always have it in the shoulder.
Right.
they were always walking around with it like slightly out,
Okay.
but then you'd have to adjust
Yeah.
and at a moment's notice. And they were also it's supposed to be slightly raised. So like when they were going through the gas area, it wasn't slightly raised. It was like almost straight to the ground. And like from here, or not everyone's watching, but like from pointed down to level is very different from 45 degrees up to level. That's a very different amount of timing when it comes to life or death situations.
That's true. I mean, I have other notes, or like, are we going through all notes
we're
now?
going through all the
or-
scenes and like
or-
doing things like that. I don't know how
Well,
we
we
do
don't-
movie
we-
stuff. I've
we
never
don't
done
always-
one of the movie podcasts.
Yeah, no, we don't always go. We don't go like scene by scene. No,
No, we don't go scene by scene in the movie.
But-
we just talk
Okay.
about
What we like.
what we liked about the plot, and then we go into kind of character specific stuff.
and then we'll do
And then
cinematography,
we talk about the shots and cinematography. Talk about music.
score. Yep.
Ooh, I really wish I had notes.
Talk about
It's
those
all right.
things. So
And
it's
then
okay.
and then we do our final. Well, what is it?
And then, then I have
This is the one. This is the part I'm always bad at.
yes.
It's like overall themes of the movie and like
Yeah,
what
like-
is the director trying to say?
Like what were you, the theme, and stuff like that. And then
All right.
Yeah, that'll
What
be
you
at the
wrote
end.
me into?
and then
Trivia. Yeah,
which-
we'll look at the
Oh, okay,
IMDb
cool.
trivia.
Oh, trivia, cool.
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, and it's okay to jump around as
Sure, yeah.
if you think of something. So let's just start talking about characters instead of story and plot.
Okay.
And then, but if there's something you want to talk about, that it's okay to
Yeah.
jump back to it. But
And so if we're talking about a specific character, we're talking about potentially a specific scene they're in, and that's how we'll
we're
bring
just
up
saying,
like different
like
points.
hey, I like this. I thought that this was a good performance.
Yeah.
This is why I like this character. And it can be you just like the character in the story. You can like, it's not like so rigid.
Well, that's what we always
yeah.
specify.
Yeah. Well, it's just like
What's your favorite performance
like-
or your favorite
yeah.
character?
Mm.
Because
Right.
like American Beauty,
Yep.
like the performance of Lester is amazing, but like him as
By
a person,
Kevin Spacey. Yeah, he's
but him
great.
as a person in the movie, like
Not
the
great.
character in the
Yeah.
movie is a terrible person.
Right.
So-
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So this is an example, the
Yeah.
recent one we talked about.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll just say like,
The new characters. Yeah.
yeah, I think,
Your favorite?
I think Jake Gyllenhaal was like killing it, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, we just watched him recently in 2 Denis Villeneuve movies not that long ago.
And I think we said the same thing.
And he was
the best.
great in that.
Yes.
Those.
Yeah.
I guess I feel like he's kind of a little underrated as an
I agree.
actor because like I don't feel like he's talked about at the level that he should be.
100% agree. Yeah.
After seeing these movies that we've watched in the last couple of months.
Mm.
Yeah. And I haven't looked up. I know he's been nominated several times, but has he actually even won?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll have to look that up and see.
Let's check it out.
He definitely deserves to, but yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, let me see. Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately him, I think, is the best performance, but I would say runner-up, Jamie Foxx.
As the drill sergeant.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
great. He was great
sure.
in this,
He
too.
was a great drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I guess, do you have all of the IMDb, not the IMDb, the actors' names for the...
I mean, most of them.
All right.
I mean, like
Do
the
you have
ones
Fowler
that,
on there?
I'll look
Ooh,
it up
Fowler.
also, just in case we need to
the guy that.
shout him out.
The crazy guy.
The crazy guy. I believe his name was Fowler, right?
Yeah, I did not. I don't have his real name on here because.
Hold on, I got it. Fowler. No, maybe not. Where is it? Fowler is the last name?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they always
his
called him.
character name.
His character name is
Right,
Fowler.
yeah.
Yeah, for the last name.
Well, I can go ahead and start talking about him.
Yeah.
We'll get the info here in a second. He did a pretty good job playing his character. Fowler was a pretty well played character.
Evan Jones.
Evan Jones.
Dave Fowler, yeah.
Okay, so he did a pretty good job at portraying who Fowler was supposed to be.
The douchebag.
The douchebag.
Yeah.
Just
Always has to be one of those.
the reason why he was there, his whole premise was just, it was well played, but he was a nutcase as a character.
Yeah.
Like, I am surprised he wasn't like demoted or kicked out or something, because he would just not stop, and so he should have gotten an ass beating way before
Yeah.
he got talked to by the drill sergeant. I mean, he was just pushing everybody's buttons, and honestly, when the plane turned around, he deserved to get shot because he's the reason the plane turned around.
He was the one that was really far forward, right?
So
Yeah.
this was what Bucky and I were double checking.
Okay.
And it was really hard to find information on this.
Yes.
But just also interesting fact, because of the Gulf War, we developed a lot of technology. Towards the end of it is when we started, but a lot of technology to avoid friendly fire because I don't know. Because he was out of formation. That's why the planes turned around.
Okay.
And that's why they kept yelling at him to get into formation. And I'm not 100% on that. I looked it up. Seemed like there was a few things that cross-referenced to that being a thing. But Bucky and I both knew that, and we do know a lot of people who have been in the military.
Yeah.
So I assume we got the information from somewhere, but also maybe we're not supposed to talk about it. Don't know.
Right.
So
True.
maybe not 100%, but that's the reason why their own planes turned around and fired on. During the Gulf War, in realistic, we killed over 100 people. Friendly fire.
Whoa.
And that's why we started. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And yeah.
Also, I did like that because I never knew about this. I just always knew it as Desert Storm. It was cool that it was Desert Shield first, and then
when
became.
they started talking about it, I was like, oh, I remember that. And of course, I'm a little older than you, but like
I don't remember the Desert
I
Shield
remember
part.
the Desert Shield part, and I was like, oh,
Really?
that's
Okay.
right. It did start. Like it was one of those things because I was a kid, when
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, I guess I was
you
2 or
really
3.
little, yeah. But and I was like Kirsten's age, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so I do remember that, but like it was like in there, but didn't know it was in there until they started saying it. I'm like, oh, that's right. It was called that first, and then
Right. And I like that there was a very specific moment where you hear him actually say, "This is now
Now it's
Desert
war,
Storm,
yeah,
yeah.
and we're
Yeah, that's
we're
cool.
on the attack and not just the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, cool to I mean, even if it's just a political thing of just like to give it a name that sounds like, hey, we're just here to help protect these other people. And they,
Yeah, that definitely goes into it
Yeah.
too, the political side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So is that your favorite character, or just one of the characters you
no,
wanted
it's
to
one of the
mention?
characters I wanted to mention because
Okay.
he stands out a lot.
Oh, he does.
Very much so.
Well, what about the guy that starts the fire? Because I'm kind of like, how did he get there? He seemed like he couldn't even handle.
Well, I mean, they said at the beginning what I think word for word. They were like, I can't say word for word. I can't say either of those words actually. They basically said that the platoon he was getting added to was full of a bunch of screw ups. For nicer words,
Right, yeah.
For a bunch of idiots and screw ups. That's what we'll say. And so I guess he's one of those idiots.
No, so he was already in it when.
Yeah, he was. He's
Matrix.
there the whole time. He was just a lot quieter and
Okay.
he's a very turbulent
I'm
man.
trying to think. Was that Fergus?
Fergie?
Yeah, it was Ferguson.
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ferguson,
Got the
okay.
glasses.
Yeah.
Brian Garrity, that's the
The guy
actor.
with the glasses.
Mhm.
Okay.
Gotta watch out for those guys with glasses. Yeah, but he just because there was other scenes, but he was in, but earlier than that scene.
Yeah.
But every time he was kind of like timid and just like,
Yeah.
Yep.
and you're like, how did you even make it this far? But
Yeah.
and then yeah,
Was he the same one that was talking on the flight to the flight attendant?
no, that was
No, that was Fowler.
Fowler.
That was
No,
Fowler.
that wasn't Fowler.
No,
It wasn't?
it's
Oh,
the
you're right,
guy
it
with
was.
the
It was
with the
the,
accent.
Lucas
It was a Southern
Black's character.
Yeah.
Which also played his character.
Yeah, he
Chris
did very
Kruger
well.
is
Chris,
Kruger.
yes,
Mhm.
Kruger.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted to point out that scene because the flight attendant was
We
That
don't
was
like-
great.
We don't like the small ones.
dude. She it was a good comeback. Yeah.
It was a good comeback. You could tell she hears it a lot.
Oh yeah, her
But I
whole
mean-
time she was just like, okay.
this is nothing new.
No.
Maybe warm my nuts up later.
Yeah.
I would, but I don't like the small ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of his character,
Mm-hmm.
when they're in the desert and they're doing the interview scene, I
Ooh.
liked when he gets asked questions and he just stays silent. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did he
Mhm.
ever? Because I know
Nope.
he does it first.
No.
He doesn't.
No,
later.
he did say one thing to one of the questions. And then they tried to jump back. Like they asked like one that he didn't want to answer. He just didn't say anything. Then they
Right.
asked something pretty simple. He answered it, and then they jumped back, and then he just nothing.
Cut it
okay.
off again.
And
Yeah.
that's when I like cut to the next person. I don't remember what it was though.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Yeah, I thought he just didn't say anything the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I was
Till, like, the very
disappointed
end.
in our main character for saying anything at all.
Yes.
Specifically towards his girlfriend, but then second, just in general about
He's,
terrified,
scared,
scared.
and
Like
terrified and
that's a
scared.
great message to be sending to.
across the world
Mhm.
to your enemies
Yeah.
who could
Well, it
potentially
wasn't
see it.
live. They're just recording it.
It doesn't matter. They're the press.
Yeah, it's gonna
They'll
go
use
out.
anything.
It would get reviewed. If they were allowed to be there for that, then there's someone.
Oh, so they would have
I would think.
cut it out then.
I think they'd be like, yeah, take it out.
I don't know about that.
I mean, there might
You
have
don't think the
been.
government
It depends.
in that
Government-
situation
You know, like the government can.
would just be
cuts
like,
out a lot of
hey,
things.
let's.
Okay, well then why would the drill sergeant get in trouble if they said something that they shouldn't? If we have full control over what the press is actually posting out.
No, I'm saying in that situation, they would have to review the stuff because I mean later they're doing humping each other in the.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was the best way to get out of that
Yes.
situation.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree.
They did a great
But it
job. They were
was.
like, we're gonna get punished later, but we're getting punished now, so screw it.
Right.
That was great.
Yeah, that
But
was.
they but the guy was rolling when they were doing that, and
Right.
then
Oh, yeah.
finally, so like if of course they're going to review the cut before it can get approved. It's I mean that's pretty standard, even non-government stuff. That's standard.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
Okay.
All of them, like, yeah, in that situation, I don't think they were gonna put that on
That still didn't answer the question though.
On
Why would the
TV.
drill sergeant get in trouble?
When did the drill sergeant get in trouble? What was that?
He would have.
He said you guys better not say anything about this or that. And then
right.
that's when they talk about freedom of speech. And he's like, you signed up to be in the military. You don't have freedom of speech.
Right.
Everything as a Marine has a cost.
Yeah.
Everything you say as a Marine has a cost. And he was like, and if you guys say something that screws me over, I'm going to get in trouble, which means you're going to get in some serious trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scare tactic.
I don't know.
I don't think it's
will
entirely a scare tactic.
I will say, I think, because there is freedom of the press, I think
Mhm.
it would have had some review to it. And the only reason I think that there would be some review is because if you look back to the war that happened before this one, which was the Vietnam War, there was no reviews over what the press posted. And because of that, that's one of the main reasons that when our men came back, they were called everything horrible. They were spit on. They were called baby killers. But that's because they were seeing everything about war. And in my opinion, it's
Mainly the bad because the press.
right. Because they want the views.
Right.
They want the
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
interaction. And so I do think possibly some of it would have been reviewed and regulated just so that something like that would not happen again.
Make sure that, the messaging is overall the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you say to that?
I said what? I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I thought
agree.
you did. You were disagreeing with me. That it'd
No,
be
I
reviewed.
said that they probably have a little bit, but they wouldn't. I even agreed with you. I was just saying that you didn't make a point at all on what I said about why would the drill sergeant get in trouble. You just completely avoided that part of the question.
No, yes, in the beginning I did because I didn't remember that situation.
But I had mentioned it. That's why I was
But
asking.
I still didn't remember the scene when you said it until you described
Until
it.
I like
again.
went through everything.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay, I remember him saying that.
I know. I was thinking about the drill sergeant at the beginning first. I was like, wait, him? But no, you meant
Yeah,
Jamie
Foxx.
Foxx. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx. Yeah, they're sergeant. Wait, where was he? They're corporal. No, they were all.
Sergeant.
Yeah, he was their
sergeant.
sergeant. Yeah.
Because I believe Jake Gyllenhaal's character moved up to corporal.
Yes.
And then he was demoted back
He was
down to
demoted.
private.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Because he's yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite performance in the movie, Bucky? Who did you think did the best?
I was gonna say because I never actually said who I thought did the best.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to remember what his name was. The guy who lied about being criminal record.
Troy.
Troy. It was Troy.
Peter Sarsgaard, yeah.
Peter
Is
Sarsgaard.
the actor.
He
yeah.
I think he was best performance, and I wish we could have seen more of his character, but because he was so calm, cool, and collected, and he didn't get a lot of we didn't get a lot to see who he really was, and I felt for the main character when you go back and see him dead, and Bucky and I were talking about what killed him, and we said probably suicide because of drug abuse.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't say anything at all. It's just
Don't
the
say
one guy
anything.
comes to the house and just tells him,
Yeah.
yeah.
We assumed it was overdose, intentional overdose.
Yeah.
Very possible. All right, so let's talk about the visuals.
Let's get Bucky's.
Oh,
favorite
sorry.
My character, I was still thinking.
That's why I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead.
Well, while you're thinking, I have
Yeah, we can come
a
back to
couple
it.
more notes too. I wanted to mention. I was talking about how there's a nod, I guess you could call it, to 3 different movies
Okay.
in this movie, which are all really great movies. And I feel like usually when that happens, it seems like it's Sam Mendes, the director. Like either saying, all right, there's elements of those movies in this movie, or just these are some of my favorite movies. I think there's elements from all three of these movies in this movie, though. So the two that I want to mention first were in the background of the picture of Anthony's girl, posters on the wall. So it was The Deer Hunter and Taxi Driver. I can see elements of both of those in this movie, and then obviously the third one's Apocalypse Now that they're actually watching. And there's elements of that, but again, that's a very different movie, very different war movie. But that movie still gets into each of the people that were there in Vietnam and how they all change drastically in that movie, throughout the movie. So it's cool seeing those. So I imagine those are a couple movies that he really likes. I really like all three of those movies, so I imagine he does too.
Yeah. I don't know why when you were talking about that, it reminded me of the guy that gets the tape.
Bro, I have a note of that too.
Oh, The Deer Hunter, yeah.
Oh yeah, so that is the Deer Hunter tape, but yeah, no, it's on the wall too. A poster on the wall too, but yeah, no, the Deer Hunter tape. That's brutal.
Dude, but,
That is a brutal scene.
yeah, but but it's like, I mean, she like obviously did it on purpose.
Yeah, it's at the very
she
end.
says that at the end.
Yeah,
I
she
know.
faces the camera
is-
and
She's like, screw you.
Who's
Crazy.
screwing around now?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind of person?
I know.
Your husband's out like serving the country, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this to because you're not here or something. I don't know why she's mad, but
Well, and then you slowly see with Anthony's girl as well as the movie progresses too.
Which that was done so because he at first he was in denial before he heard anything from her, but then as soon as he got the message, I mean, he was not in denial.
Yeah.
But he hadn't accepted it yet, and then he had to accept it once he tried to do his usual business, and couldn't.
Yep.
And I thought that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way to put it.
Paul as Lucas. No, I agree. Yeah. That was done well. But then it was nice at least seeing one person. I'm gonna have to look him up too, where he actually he first shows his girl she's pregnant, and then later he's like, "Yeah, I got a boy."
Yes.
Yes,
that was
sir.
cool. So
And
it's
then-
still at least something positive.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
everyone.
And they were at the funeral, right? In the background.
you
I
saw
don't
him
know.
somewhere.
Where you see him at some point, and there's the whole family.
Yep.
So
Oh, it's just showing each person's lives, at the end where
Oh,
they're at.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
and they're
yeah.
at a amusement park or something. It looks
yeah,
like
that's right. That's right. Most people, they all had the same fate, just alone and in the desert.
Yeah, still in the desert.
Yep.
Any other notes over there? Bucky, you know what your favorite character
I got a
was
couple
yet?
more
I
if you
do.
still need time. Okay.
All
All
right,
right, go ahead.
Why don't you give it to us?
I think my favorite character performance has to be Jake Gyllenhaal's.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason because of that is because I like his character development through the entire movie because of how many mental shifts that he has.
Yeah.
For instance, when going into boot camp, getting out of boot camp, then going in and actually being deployed. And then he finds out about his girl not being faithful. And he just snaps, but it's not for a little bit. Because he's still trying to, process things.
Mhm.
And then he just completely loses it with the scene where he points the live gun at
Mhm.
Fergus. And in an
It's a great
instant,
He
scene.
didn't just point the gun,
he loaded it and
Yeah.
had his finger on the trigger.
Mhm.
and it basically had it in his mouth,
Right.
and then flipped it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He realized what he did. He screwed up, and so he was like, "Well, now I just gotta go."
Right.
Hands him the gun.
But he was still even when realizing that, he was still in his rage.
Mm-hmm.
And then in an instant, like in the snap of a finger, you could see it on his face, how it changed. And he realized what he had done and become. So I like that.
Yeah,
I think his performance is really good.
he was full of embarrassment after that.
Mm.
Like
Couldn't
there was
even
there
look
was a
at him.
while where he couldn't look anyone in the eyes. And then he had to man up and keep control of Troy.
Yep.
And his apology to Fergus was very, very heartfelt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was genuine. So
Yeah.
amazing
Cool.
performance.
He was my favorite character.
Yes.
I still think the best performance was Troy.
Mm.
In the sniper scene.
No, just best performance in general.
Oh, overall?
Yeah.
Was Troy?
Yeah.
You said you had some other note.
Oh yeah, I just got a couple. These are quick. One is about, it's around the middle of the movie, with his voiceover, where he's going through all different scenarios. If this happens, there's a protocol for it, and then he
Yes.
says, if a person is losing their mind, no standard solution exists.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right when he was starting to be in that,
Yep.
in that headspace. But I imagine, again, that's 89, so I imagine that's very different now too.
Hopefully.
I disagree.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's any different. Okay, it's definitely different, but I don't think it's the right different,
Okay.
and I don't think it helps the way it probably should. And that's an after hours
After hours.
conversation.
After hours podcast with Lucas.
Yeah.
These other two ones are just really quick. I just love when there's scenes in movies of disassembling and reassembling firearms. I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
When they were
awesome.
timing it. Yeah,
It's
that
just
was
all around
good.
cool.
Yeah. And then the other one is just, is there anything cooler than shooting a rifle into the air while smoking a cigar?
Last scene. That's one of my notes. That's
Nice.
The last
Yes,
scene with the
nice.
cigars
Sir.
and gun firing up in the air. You can't,
Right?
like,
Come on,
the
Dude.
drill sergeant with two of them,
Yep.
2 LMGs and a cigar.
No shirt.
And he's just,
No shirt.
shirt.
Oh, dude.
like,
Like started at the beginning, boot camp, testosterone booster. You get through the whole, you're like, dang, this is so screwed up. Like, oh my gosh, but still togetherness, testosterone. Then you get to the end scene and you're
Right.
like, dude,
where do I sign
Yeah.
up?
where do I sign up?
Yeah. Yep. That's it. That's
Where do I get a cigar and 2 LMGs? And,
Yep.
and just music blasting in the desert with the boys.
Mhm.
Hashtag life goals.
That's
Yeah.
Minus the cigar. I don't smoke cigars. But I'll
So,
fire,
so
I'll fire 2 firearms into the.
what do you got in your mouth?
Oh.
Pause.
I know. Wait, did you not? In my at my
I did
bachelor
not.
No,
party?
you didn't even try one.
No.
Try it a little bit.
I feel like I was gonna try to get you to, but
You did. You did mention that you were going to try and at least give him to try
you
it,
didn't,
but no,
man.
you didn't.
Speaking
For
of,
some reason, I thought you at least.
after our conversation, I double checked. We're definitely out of triple smoke at this point.
Oh,
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
that one's the
We're gonna have
best.
to make
Took
a
us
trip.
a year to drink 3
That was
bottles.
the best.
No.
Hey, the first bottle was drinking.
Nah, that was
one
polished.
night.
That was polished.
That was
Yeah.
polished,
I know,
man.
I know. But now I got to find, because I think it is distributed in Virginia, so I think there is a liquor store in like Leesburg area that does
Oh,
carry
okay.
it. So,
Nice.
We
That's
gotta go
good.
on a
so
quest.
we just gotta,
Cool, cool,
yeah,
cool,
Gotta
yeah.
go on a quest.
Not too far then.
But anyway, because we were talking about it the other night, and then
Right.
I was looking, and I'm like, dang,
Completely
It's
out.
like,
Are you completely out or almost out?
no, out.
Oh, dry.
Yeah,
When did you polish that off?
I don't know. Might have been the lady.
No, that's why you didn't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all right.
Yeah.
let's-
Now we can do cinematography.
Let's talk
if you
about
want.
Yes.
these pictures, these pretty pictures.
Yeah. Also, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't know that it was Roger Deakins until afterwards. I was looking.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, I was just noting.
And then I was like, "Holy
things
crap!"
that
I
I
mean, I
liked.
already knew. I was like, "This movie."
yeah,
I was like, "Whoever is the cinematographer," I was like, "is great," but I didn't realize it was Roger Deakins till afterwards when I was looking it up.
yeah, same. But yeah, there was things I was appreciating, and I was like,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And then looked up later. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
And then it just made so much sense. What are some of the shots or scenes that you like that stand out? Any from a visual standpoint? I mean, I've got a list, but
I don't have them written down.
yeah.
But
Anything
I
off the top of
can-
your head?
I think I remember which.
I like the water bottle scene, the monotonous of it. Them finishing the water and like just like that 4-minute segment of them like being in the desert
And urinating, and then
and then
Hydrating,
yes, and like
hydrating,
that whole
yeah.
like cycle.
Yeah.
I think it was shot really well for what it was.
Yeah.
And it didn't pull away from anything. And then obviously the finals, the scene where it switches over to the desert, beautiful shot. When the war begins and he pees himself, like that shot and like the sound design
he
and
gets
all of that
slow-mo,
and the
it's
slow mo.
like, yeah, and he's
the
like
sand,
kind
And
of
he's just
frozen
standing there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
I
but he
have that
doesn't.
one.
But the way the dialogue is set up, he doesn't seem like he is like frozen in fear or frozen because he's
No.
scared. He's like, finally.
Yeah, he's taking it in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. But then when you see he peed himself, you're like,
Well,
maybe it
that's
was a
just
little bit.
that's a common thing, just
Yeah.
from loud noise.
And he also said it
explosions
so
and stuff.
just nonchalantly.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't just like, oh, I peed myself. It was, I peed myself. It
Yeah.
was just,
okay. All right.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Are you
Dead.
all right?" And he's like,
Yeah.
I peed myself.
"Yeah, but I peed myself."
Okay. Because they almost like, especially when they do the shot on the reverse side, because they first are showing him on this side, his left side, and then they show from the right side, and like the like sand and dust that's like kind of hitting up on him. And it's in slow mo. Like yeah, like it was like visually kind of like conveying he was just like breathe, almost like
Yeah.
like like
Yeah.
taking it in, like yes, finally. But then yeah, he peed himself, and I was like, oh. But
I want to mention
your
also
Mhm.
that shot. Shout out to the sound design too, because the way
Yes.
it all changes there. That was great.
Yes, for sure. It was such a good scene, just in general.
The one shot or the one scene where Jake Gyllenhaal's walking among the burnt bodies and they're all
Ooh,
like
yeah.
sitting.
Yes.
I love how the sand was black and only his footprints
Yes.
make
because he
the
finally
original
he was
color
the
of
first
sand.
person to disrupt it. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I remember noticed that. Yeah.
And he's just sitting amongst this
Mhm. Yeah,
charred
he was, like,
graveyard.
talking to the almost like he sat down at one point.
Yep.
And he's like almost like
Like he's gonna
talking
have a
to
conversation with
and
the guy with
I
the
like that he
corpse.
just pukes.
Yeah.
Yep.
He doesn't say anything. He just throws up.
Yep.
Jared, you got.
I mean,
Continue.
honestly, it's like any of the shots with like the fire in the background
Oh yeah.
was just
Yeah, when
From the oil.
I had that,
Yes.
the oil fire
was like,
the going
man.
flames, and you had all those silhouette shots that
Mhm.
my
just looked very, and all the light coming off of that. And
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
those were
And
cool.
then two others. Well, one's like pretty quick, but the POV shot in the
Yeah,
mask.
I know that, yeah.
Yes.
That
Um,
was cool.
and then just an overall, like I think Roger Deakins is one of the best when it comes to shooting scenery and environments, because anything, even like, I guess would you call them establishing shots,
Probably, yeah.
like in the desert, or what was it? There was one. It was like the horizon. Oh no, it was one. It was shoot, where did I have that? It was a sunset shot too. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Was it when they were traversing back after the snipe?
It was when it was a sunset shot, and then there was two guys just like
Yep.
sitting there. That shot was
Yes, I know what
The
you're talking about.
silhouette as well.
the silhouette.
But
Yeah,
it was like a nice, pretty sky, like a
Mhm.
sunset, not later when the war started. It was like before.
No, it was
like
before that.
early when they got
Yeah.
like early to the desert. Yeah. So that there's there was the shot with all the Humvees lined up on the desert horizon. There was like 20 of them, like
yeah,
next to each other, almost like driving. That looked sick.
yeah, it did.
I had the POV one, and then the night shots when it was raining, and then they were piling the stuff up, and
Mm-hmm.
and Jamie Foxx is like sitting right under the like he's covered
tarp,
so,
yeah.
tarp. So he's
But then
like,
you see the smoke from his
Yeah.
coffee or tea or whatever it is. Yeah,
that stuff was looking really nice.
Yeah.
Um, and then when they got the break to go to the whatever where there was AC and stuff for a little bit, and when he got up, I guess it was like nighttime or whatever, and like he walks through that like bunk, like dorm bunk thing. There was a bunch, and there's like the light coming through the different windows, like moonlight or whatever it was like just sick looking. Like the framing of that and the lighting. Really like that one.
I have one more also. Oh no, you keep going if you have more.
Those are the overall ones. Yeah, that was pretty much the big stuff.
The last one was the actual. I don't know. Was that like a drone strike they do at the end? But you see it from just in the reflection at the end, where it goes through, where they're bombing them, and you just see Jake Gyllenhaal's face, and you don't see the actual bombing run. You just see it in the reflection. I thought that was
that's cool.
Sick too.
Yeah.
Which I feel like plays into it too, where it's like kind of what we were talking about, where they don't actually get to they doing all this stuff, training, and they're like, finally it's gonna happen, and then it's taken away from them. It's like even the bombing shot, even like as a viewer, you don't even get to fully see that either. You see it in the reflection.
Really it was a really good translation.
Yeah. And they always kept talking about, in World War II, it took them how long and to move forward, and then Vietnam, it was like a couple weeks, and then this is like
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Yep. You're like, jeez. Like, why did they even send us the ground troops?
Dude, when that made me think of when he was like, "This is Vietnam music." He's like, "Why can't we get our own music?" That was great.
That was great. All right, you want to talk about the score?
Sure, yeah. I mean, everyone else, feel free to chime in too. I mean, I don't have a ton about it. I want to shout out the soundtrack first because there's a lot of great songs that they picked for this too.
Yes, for sure.
The score though, not a whole lot actually in it. There was a lot of scenes with no score actually, but the ones I liked the best were it was more atmospheric, and it was almost when there was either something bad was about to happen or when they were about to maybe encounter enemies. You would get this kind of in the background atmospheric score, but the way it rose, it was like almost like horror movie sounding, but it was perfect for that type of scene though. I thought that was great. Was there any others? The other ones were kind of just typical, I would say, of a 2005 movie.
Yeah,
score wise. That's about it though.
Who was the
still Thomas Newman?
Okay.
Yep. Very different again. Score.
Yeah.
So this is
his third
one in a row.
Well, and then,
all three different.
And they might have still. He probably would have still used the same cinematographer if he hadn't passed away.
Probably.
The first two movies, Sam Mendes, he used the same guy. Both won Oscars for cinematography
for those movies. Yeah.
And then he passed away. And the last movie he did was The Road to Perdition. So.
And then his son got
he even had to divorce, so he was passed away by then. So his son even had to collect it.
Oh wow.
Or accept it. But anyway, so I was just he used the same composer for the first three movies, and then he had to change cinematographers because he had no choice.
Great choice though. It's like
yeah.
It's like
I think it worked.
I have one of the best. Let's get another one of the best cinematographers.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I was just.
No, he definitely would have. Yeah.
I think he wouldn't have changed. I think he would have stuck with. I'm trying to like his name.
Conrad Hall.
Yes, the Conrad Hall. Yeah. That sounds right.
I didn't know the name before, but since we've been talking about it so much now, I feel like I think that's the name. Yeah.
But he was an older guy. Like he'd been doing it for a long time. But yeah. All right. So, what do you think? Did the director trying to say something like a broader meaning behind this? Deeper meaning, like just an overall, like, is there something the audience was to take away when they've watched this?
Being a soldier is hard.
Yeah.
but I feel like that one's pretty forefront.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it would have to be whether you are fighting the war physically or mentally. War is hell.
Hmm.
Good one, Bucky. That was good.
I think it was a good way to put also that war doesn't necessarily have to be on the battlefield or even in boot camp.
Mhm.
One of the biggest wars that they were all fighting was with the people back home, and potentially how faithful they were being to them. You know, what did you leave behind that you potentially are losing to go and potentially die for them and your country? And it's showing how many different people, like, not, they don't necessarily give up, but, you know, they're impatient, and you have to deal with the suffrage that they have nothing, doesn't affect them at all. It affects the people that are there already putting in the most, fighting the most wars, and then you're just putting that extra stress, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you had, I mean, mine was kind of along the lines of yours where it's basically a swap in this movie of PTSD, because the PTSD in this movie is all of the Marines' childhood trauma / relationship drama. They're having the PTSD in the actual war of that, as opposed to normally after the war you would have the PTSD about the war.
Yeah,
So
the classic thing to show is
yes,
after they're
Right.
back and they have PTSD of
Mhm.
the war itself.
Yes,
Right.
that was my main thing.
But then
with
you get
this.
back, and now you got 2 PTSDs.
yeah, even worse. Yeah,
Yeah. I think, I mean, my thoughts were along the lines of just, you know, kind of what you were saying, but like, you know, watching this, like thinking like, one, it gave you a very visceral experience of like what it's like, right? And to like have more, you know, empathy for the people that did serve, right? But, and I think hopefully, I mean, making this movie, they hopefully did make some changes, you know, like I think, like, or at least push some other people that weren't aware to like force some changes so that there was that mental part and not, and put some things in place. Maybe they're not as best as they could be, as you were kind of speculating earlier. Yeah, but hopefully there's been steps to make some changes since then.
Well, yes. I think that the 2 potentialities are they either made it too soft in the Army. Those are like the 2 ways you go. You either make it too
Right.
soft,
yeah,
or you just say, "Oh, we just keep a therapist on deck." And I think both of those are poor options.
Yeah, the soft thing you can't do.
no,
Nope.
definitely not.
Because then that makes it ineffective.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. And then just giving him a therapist.
Defeats the whole purpose.
yeah.
So I don't know what measures they did take and how it is now. Maybe Bucky and I'll just have to sign up and let you guys know.
Yeah.
The therapist would be a really bad
Mhm.
way to go about it, because the reason why drill instructors are so hard on you is because you are supposed to picture them when you're out in the field. You're supposed to hate them so that when you see your enemy, you see them. You want to kill them.
Really? I don't know that.
At least that is what I've heard.
Oh, we have a lot of people that we know that.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other notes, Bucky? I know. I was just seeing you said you had a lot of notes. I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to.
I think we
Bring
covered a
up
lot of
overall.
it, but
There
definitely go
was-
through it.
Yeah, there was one inaccuracy and there was one accuracy. But
What am I looking at?
I don't know, slight inaccuracy and accuracy. The slight
Do
inaccuracy.
you not want to read it? Oh, you want me to look at it?
No, I was gonna say the slight inaccuracy,
Oh,
which was that when they were in the desert, there was no, like, even after all the timestamps, there was no tanning. Nobody was sunburned.
Oh, good point.
mm-hmm.
Their skin didn't get any darker.
Hmm. Yeah. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. That was something we noticed really early. It was like, oh, 60 days. I was like, 60 days?
You got to be. I mean,
None of them were
sunburned,
sunburned. None of
tan,
them got
something.
tanner. Nothing. But an accuracy that was similar to that later on is like once they were actually like in the war, like in the desert and in the war part, like they started to like grow beards and their hair started to get longer.
Yes. Yeah. I noticed that part.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the one inaccuracy about in potentially hostile places, always have your gun slightly raised
Right.
Mhm.
and stock in shoulder ready to fire.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying,
That
it doesn't look like you missed anything.
sweet.
I just
Cool.
I thought of one. More.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the boot camp when they're doing the firing thing, because you're crawling under the barbed
Yeah.
wire, they use an M60 light machine gun, which was the light machine gun that was used in Vietnam. But since they came out in the Gulf War with the in games, it's called the MK48. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but that it's the newer LMG. So it's cool to see how the older one is used in boot camp now, and then the new one is used actually in
In
deployment.
combat.
Right.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Nice.
Let's do a little trivia.
Mm.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
A-
Yes.
All right. So a great deal of the dialogue is improvised. This was deliberate choice on the part of Sam Mendes to be a little more organic after the stylization of Road to Perdition. So,
Mm.
to kinda
Whoa.
give it- so this
really?
was,
That's interesting.
yeah.
I was going to mention I didn't have a note about, or I did have a note about how great I thought the dialogue was, but so a large portion of it was
Yeah.
improv. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
The scene where Swalford had to burn the latrines, the bucket contained real human and dog feces to make Jake Gyllenhaal's
Ooh.
reaction realistic.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
Talk about
Dude.
method acting, dude.
Yeah. That's rough.
The sex video breakup scene is actually a well-known legend that has been circulating in the American military since the late 1980s.
Oh, so that's an actual thing.
It actually does happen. Things like that.
Well, I mean, that I knew.
Yeah, but
The new Dear John.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
John Krasinski wrote all of his dialogue.
It was like a
two
couple
lines that he
lines. Yeah. I know. I was like, are we going to get at least one more scene of him? But no, it was
Nope.
literally just
little
that.
cameo.
That's it.
Well, what year was it? He was barely known.
2005.
Yeah. When did The Office start?
Yeah, it would have been around then.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
four
It was
maybe.
basically just Jim.
so he probably filmed
Yeah.
it.
movie.
He probably
Yeah.
filmed it before The Office because he
Yeah.
probably filmed it.
Just shave the head and then, yeah.
The burning oil wells were all computer generated. The oil that appears on the soldiers' faces were concoction made from molasses. So those weren't real. They weren't actually something back there burning. They did a good job of like
Yeah, I was
lighting
saying,
the
yeah, it
scenes
looked
to make
very
it
good.
Yeah.
lighting the scenes to make
Yeah.
it look like it was real.
Cool.
The interviews with the grunts were all improvised. Lucas Black was particularly uncomfortable with this as he preferred to work off a script. So he didn't say anything.
That's why you did
anything.
that.
Oh.
That's so funny.
Wow.
That's cool.
Jake Gyllenhaal was convinced he had blown his audition, especially after several months passed and he hadn't heard back from Sir Mendes. And an impassioned message Gyllenhaal left on Mendes' voicemail swung the decision in his favor. So
Mm.
the Marines watched The Apocalypse Now, which was edited by Jarhead editor Walter Murch. So the same editor.
Same editor. That's
Yeah.
sick. Cool.
So they filmed this in the Imperial Valley in Southern California. Actually, something I was thinking when I was watching, I forgot to look it up, but now we get in here.
Filming locations. Yeah.
Because I was like, where did they film this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Southern California, which features conditions very similar to Iraq. Marines did use one of the local towns, Brawley, for training purposes due to some of the similarities to Iraq.
Hmm.
The desert locations were scouted in the summer months. When filming actually had began, it was the winter after rain, so vegetation had sprung up on what's supposed to be a barren land. All this had to be removed, often digitally.
Yeah.
The original screenplay contained a more pointed political stance, which Sam Mendes stripped out.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe it would have given it a little more passion. Maybe I would have liked it better.
Josh would have liked it, and then we wouldn't have liked it as much.
Yeah.
The scorpions used in the scorpion fight scene were CGI, but the one Laz Alonso's character holds for a brief moment is real.
Oh, okay.
They all looked real.
They did all
Really?
look real.
Nah, the scorpions look.
The scorpions looked
the
fake when they were
scorpions look
fighting.
CGI.
Did it?
100%.
To me, it
I'm
looked
trying to
real.
remember that scene.
No.
Oh, the one he
They-
picks
they-
up.
they
Their
look
movements were
fake.
weird.
The one he picked up was real though.
The
The
one,
one
who
he
was
picked up by the
holding-
tail
Okay.
is what they're
Yeah, that
saying
was
is-
different. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, that did throw me off for a second. I was like, wait, were they real? I was like, no, they were definitely not real. I know
CGI.
they looked CGI when I was watching them fight.
Mm-hmm.
But scorpions do have weird movements, so it's understandable.
Yeah.
So Peter Sarsgaard is actually Jake Gyllenhaal's brother-in-law,
What?
What?
Didn't know that.
but they didn't. He was dating his sister in 2002, Maggie Gyllenhaal,
Right.
But they didn't get married to 2006. So in the movie, he wasn't quite his brother-in-law, but
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And then they got married in 2009.
wow.
But yeah, so
That's cool.
He's
Um,
definitely the third, I would say, most known actor in this, besides Gyllenhaal and
Jamie
Foxx. Yeah,
Mm.
because he's still been in a lot of things. Yeah.
The actors all went through a 4-day boot camp at Georgia Air Force Base.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good
Nice.
idea.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal's nosebleed during the prank branding scene was digitally added in post-production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything
How
else?
how many of these are there?
Oh, well, there's like tons of stuff.
No,
It's
we
trying to
just
see-
usually just go through
Yeah.
some of the good ones.
And it says like all the sex scenes were shot in the same day. Leading,
Cool.
Okay.
Good to know.
leading, leading Sam Mendes to comment, "It's so nice to have sex today after all this war and death."
There you go.
They shot it almost entirely in sequence, which is unusual, as we know. Like that's crazy.
Mm.
That is
That is
unusual. Yeah.
wow. That's crazy, actually.
Yeah, that's almost never done, right?
Mm.
Hmm.
Staff Sergeant Sykes originally had a tattoo of a panther on the back of his shaved head. Jamie Foxx sported it during his award sweeps for Ray. The tattoo was eventually digitally removed in post-production because director Mendes felt it made the character too hardcore.
Man, that was removed in post for every scene. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. I like that he's reading the Bible on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other final thoughts?
Not particularly.
Mm,
None from me.
I think that's it.
All right. Okay. Well, next week it'll be Revolutionary Road. We'll be talking about that one. We hope you enjoyed our conversation about Jarhead, and if you like, you can subscribe or follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Give us a 5-star review. That'd be awesome. Tell us what you think and send us some feedback. Email us at feedback@screentimepod. Tell us your thoughts on this movie. If you watched it, have you seen it? Do you like war movies? And if you want to follow us on Instagram, I'm at JYoungBar.
I'm at Lucas Youngbar.
Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I gotta look it up. I actually.
Okay, I didn't know if you did or not.
He's looking it up.
Yeah, I'm at Jared Youngbar.
I'm at Bucky Barnes.
There you go.
And with that, we will all talk to you next week. Well, maybe not all of us,
Definitely not all of us.
Yeah, not all.
but I will.
Nope.
Jared and I will be here.
Yeah, we'll be here.
back.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
And happy Hanukkah. Why not?